Hey church family, my name's Mallory Oxford, and I have been in New York City the whole time through the pandemic, and I just wanted to share a little testimony to kind of some of the things the Lord taught me during this time. I work in medicine, I'm a physician assistant, and because I work in private practice, I wasn't in the hospital, and pretty early on, the Lord put it on my heart to go ahead and volunteer to work in the hospital, but I was also working full-time still in private practice, so I figured, you know what, nights, weekends, I could go and I could serve some people in the hospital. But with this came a lot of fear that I hadn't experienced in the past, namely like fear of death, because I knew that this disease was scary, it was affecting people of all ages, and there really wasn't a defined treatment for it. And so, I was essentially signing up to potentially high likelihood of getting the disease, and they didn't have great treatment options. So that was a level of fear of death that I really hadn't experienced before. And it was kind of the lesson of, what Jesus says, like, lay down your life for your friends. And so it was just a really huge test in the Lord's faithfulness, and he was so good and so kind to me in that time. And there was people from all walks of my life that would just speak into that really late at night, just lay verses that they felt the Lord had delivered to them for me. And so that was really powerful, and I just got to see the Lord's faithfulness and his goodness, and everything worked out, and it turned out to be a huge blessing.
Hey church, it's Kristen. I'm joining you from Midtown East. One way that I saw Jesus changing me as his disciple over the last 4 months is how he's been training my instincts to turn to him more quickly than ever before in my life. He set the tone for me to learn this at the very beginning of the pandemic. That very first weekend, he confronted me with his peace while I was in the produce aisle, secretly panic shopping for groceries at 4 a.m. at the Morton Williams in my neighborhood, and all the shelves were completely empty already. A few days prior to that, everybody in Midtown had decided to panic all at once, and they had raided the grocery stores, cleared all the shelves, and it was ridiculous. I had a delayed reaction with panic, and so there I was at 4 a.m. just scrounging for the leftovers when Jesus confronted me in the person of Mike, the produce manager. And Mike saw me, and he walked over, he looked at my pathetic stockpile of beef jerky and plain rice cakes and evaporated milk, and he very kindly said to me, "Are you afraid?" And in that moment, I felt like Jesus busting through the upper room where his disciples were, cowering in fear, locked behind doors, uncertain of the future, not even sure how to process the present. And Jesus came to me through Mike, and as if shaking me by the shoulders, it was like Jesus saying, "Kristen, peace be with you." And that really set the tone for me to enter this season of uncertainty and anxiety and really all of the things that have come up since then. And I've noticed that my instincts now will go to him so much quicker than before. Whenever panic is rising in me, whatever is happening in my life or out in the world, it's as if I am in that moment talking with Jesus, asking for his peace, asking for his help, and we're navigating through these things together in real time. So I'm just so amazed and so thankful to experience his friendship and his nearness in such a new way that I've never been before.
So since coronavirus started, I feel like God has drawn me really near. And I've seen that happen in the way, literally Jesus saying, "Walk with me," or this whole idea of walking in step with the Spirit has been just really present on my mind. This idea of God being near, and sometimes saying pause, sometimes saying to stay with me, and sometimes saying walk with me, sometimes saying sit with me. So I feel like it's just been a season of learning how to stay in step with the Spirit, and almost learning in practice what Jesus meant by by only doing what he saw the Father doing, of like in everything you do, just kind of be aware of like where God is leading and where God is moving, and if that's something for you or not for you, and trying to like be in alignment in that way. Yes, and sometimes it means lots of walking, and sometimes it means sit at home quietly by yourself with me.
Hey church family, Gardner and Emily here.
Hey.
And when I think about how Emily has grown as a disciple of Christ throughout quarantine, two words came to mind, rest and invest. Emily is a photographer and didn't have any upcoming work, obviously through quarantine. And so the first weeks, we're really thinking about how to rest and invest in a wise way. And it was really cool to see how God moved in the ways that she set apart time with him. We're blessed to live right near Fort Tryon Park, beautiful park, and it was, spring. So flowers were blooming and trees were unfolding. And Emily, being the wonderful naturalist that she is, spent so much time in the park, and she'd come home and would talk about the encounters that she had with Jesus, which otherwise probably wouldn't have been attended to in a non-COVID scenario. So that was something that really stuck out. She was able to take care of her needs and herself in a way that invested in her relationship with Christ, and then that poured out into her relationship with myself, with friends, with family, with the church body, with our neighbors. And so that was really, really cool to see. And then investing in her business, she was able to rebrand her entire company throughout quarantine, and I'm super proud of the work that she put into that, which otherwise she wouldn't have been able to do. And I feel like it was an act of faithfulness to the call on her life and her vocation to take that time and invest in Emily Flecky Photography.
Thanks, hon.
Yeah.
So Gardner, I got to watch him faithfully continue working through COVID, and watch him be a steady anchor on his team at work. And I think I saw him grow as a disciple because he was able to stay rooted and connected to Jesus in the midst of the storms of COVID, and just give reason for the hope that he had. On a couple of different accounts, he invited a few people to online church, which was kind of cool back in March, and was able to just be present and be available and be a witness in that way. I've also seen him grow as a disciple because he's very much an extrovert. We are different in that way, and I saw him continue to be the same man when he wasn't able to be around around a lot of people, in front of a lot of people. So I think he really grew in just being sort of hidden, being, maintaining rhythms and continuing to do life and be a man of integrity, even when there weren't a lot of people to see what his day-to-day looked like. And so I think it was really neat to see him grow as a husband and as a man, and continue to be the man who God was making him to be when no one was watching.
Thanks, son.